Got a house that's got old, scary electrical, and currently the power lines are run overhead, and we're going to get those buried underground. We're also going to be running a separate service to the garage. We've already got the wiring permit turned in and the go-ahead from the power company. I'm going to log into the website for South Dakota 811 and start the dig ticket. Anytime you're going to be mechanically digging, you need to contact 811 2 days ahead of time so they can send companies out to mark the current underground utilities. I'll fill out all the information on the website, mark the dig area, give them the times, and confirm that they have all the correct contact information. After that, you'll get a couple different emails confirming the 811 ticket, along with emails from a couple different utilities telling you that they will be coming out and locating any underground service. 2 days later, our locates are active, and in our dig area, we have 2 telecom lines, gas line, and the power line. Both water and sewer head to the south of the house, and we will be digging on the west side of the house. Trent got all the equipment on site. We both show up and start digging. You have to hand dig within 18 inches of any marked underground utility. And of course, when we tried to use the trencher, it's got a flat tire and the valve stems on the inside. Got that pumped up, then Trent's going to use the excavator to help clear a few leaves, and then I start the trencher at the garage and head towards the yard. Trent's kind enough to move a little bit of this dirt for me, make the 90, and continue to dig. Fortunately, this trencher would not trench in a straight line, and it had a slight curve to it. But running the trencher is about 3 times as fast as digging with the excavator. Occasionally, I'll have to stop and reposition the trencher, and a little over halfway through this job, the trencher hit a tree root, and we broke it. So at this point, I'm going to switch the excavator over from the wide bucket to the narrow bucket. Running the excavator is more fun, but it does take 2 to 3 times as long. But on the plus side, it does give you a wider trench and go through tree roots easier. Jim stops by the next day and we get the meter socket, main panel, and disconnect hooked up outside. Since this is the main panel, we will have to run 2 hots, a neutral, and a ground to the sub panel inside. Get everything landed on those lugs, then we're going to squeak it down to 250 inch-pounds of torque. Repeat this process another 3 times. Once we finish the trench, we will be ready for the power company. Later on that day, I got Nathaniel to help me finish hand digging around this telecom line. At this point, we only got about 35 feet of digging to go, and this trencher is about 10 times faster than you can hand dig. I had to deal with some other stuff real quick, so I gave Nathaniel a crash course on how to run the excavator and let him run it for about a half hour. And being that it was late in the day, the sun started to go down and it started to get rather cold. But we got this last little bit of it finished up in the dark, and tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we should be ready for the power company to come give us the wire. Show up the next day, and I forgot to do one small section that tees off to the garage. Get that knocked out real quick, and then I helped Jim by installing these 2 ground rods. Jim's got a sledgehammer that's a little bit better to driving ground rods, and it didn't take me too long to break it. Get the garage all hooked up, then we're going to head over to the house and drive that ground rod in. We'll drive the first 3 to 4 feet in by hand, then switch over to the sledge. Once that's done, we're going to land the ground wire, and at 1 o'clock, the telecom and the power company showed up to put wire in the ground. For this particular power company, as long as you contact them 10 days ahead of time, dig the trench, and pay the electrician to put the meter on the house, they will come by and install the wire for free. Once the wire's in the ground for the house and the garage, the telecompany puts their conduit in the ground that they've already run their wire through. And once again, the telecom company does not charge us for this service. They're just happy they didn't have to dig the trench, and now they don't have one overhead service that can come down in a nice storm. The power company gets the meter hooked up on the garage and on the house. During that time, I'm going to get the excavator switched over from the narrow bucket to the wide bucket. As soon as the power company gets the power wires off the ground, I will start to backfill the trench. Using the blade on the excavator is so much faster than hand shoveling it, which is what we've had to do in the past. And it didn't take me too long to figure out that I put the dirt on the wrong side of the trench, and my bucket is not wide enough for this application. I've got a few ideas on how I can make something that'll help me backfill the trench faster, but for today I'll just use the blade and the bucket. Start by getting everything to the garage done first, and at this point I'm about half done. Once the power company finishes up with all of his stuff, we get the outside panel closed up. After everyone leaves, I just continue to close up the trench. There was a few times where the track of the excavator fell into the trench, and I had to use the arm to get the excavator free. Get the ground as level as I can, then I'm going to be done with this project and on to the next one.